Welcome to the Dreamspace Dispatch, a creative sanctuary for stories, reflection, and quiet resistance. I'm Nicole Myers, also writing under the pen name Astrid Satterley, and this is where I read, reflect, and talk through the kinds of things that don't always fit neatly into an algorithm. Sometimes it's a poem, sometimes it's a lyrical essay, sometimes it's just me thinking out loud about what it means to live, write, and create inside a world that often feels like too much. So settle in, the lantern's lit, let's begin. Welcome to the very first episode of the Dreamspace Dispatch. I'm Nicole Myers, or Nikki. I write my creative works under my pen name Astrid Satterley, but whatever you call me, don't call me late for snack time. I'm a writer, narrator, raccoon-adjacent human, and I wanted to start not with a manifesto or a bang, but with a candle. A small light, something quiet but steady. Because that's what this space is for, not for noise, not for spectacle, but for something else, something that burns slowly, something that stays. The dream space didn't come out of a business plan. It wasn't engineered for virality or optimized for clicks. It came from survival, from grief, from longing, from the simple, almost defiant belief that soft things matter, even now, especially now. It's a place for stories and thought that don't quite fit anywhere else, for dispatches from the creative trenches, the freelance wilderness, and the quiet corners of the mind where ideas bloom in their own time. I light this first candle as a way to say you're welcome here. Whether you're a writer, a reader, a thinker, or someone who just likes raccoons and strange metaphors, you found a real place. You don't have to bring anything but yourself. We'll talk about writing here, what it's like to do this work, what it costs, and why we keep doing it. We'll also talk about the in-between spaces, the not quite marketable stuff. We'll wander, and that's by design, but for now, we begin with the candle, just one. Enough to see by, enough to start. So what is the Dream Dispatch really? It's part blog, part audio letter, part quiet rebellion. It's where I share stories, thoughts, and reflections from the edges of freelance writing, creative life, grief, resistance, and a little raccoon logic. Some episodes will be personal, poems, essays, reflections pulled straight from my notebooks or blog. Others will be a little more structured, writing talk, process tips, or conversations about what it actually means to build a creative life in a world that's constantly trying to sell you something else. At its heart, the Dreamspace Dispatch is a place for the things that don't fit neatly into boxes. It's a way to carve out time and space for slower work. Work that matters not because it's flashy, but because it lingers, because it holds. You'll hear from me each episode, but sometimes you'll also hear from Thimble, a slightly feral raccoon with a pouch full of letters and more wisdom than she lets on. She helps carry the magic, though. She is my spark keeper. And honestly, she's better at metaphors than I am. This podcast isn't about making it or going viral. It's not here to teach you how to hustle harder. It's here to remind you that soft work is still work, that your story matters, that the flicker of a single candle can change a whole room, that you're not alone. I want to share a piece that sits at the heart of the dream space. It's not just a poem, it's a map, a memory, a reminder that even when everything feels like it's burning down, we still have each other. We still have light. This piece is called The Candle in the Storm. It's something I wrote under my pen name Astrid Satterley. It began as a reflection on protest, mutual aid, and the quiet kind of hope that doesn't ask permission to exist. Let's light it together. It began with a single flame. Not a blaze. Not yet. Just enough to push back the dark. To be seen. A candle cradled in shaking hands held out like a question. Can you see this? Will you carry it? Because one light alone is a prayer, but two is a promise. And when the wind came, it did not snuff it out. It spread into streets pulsing with footprints, cardboard signs raised like shields, chants that struck the air like drums, the rhythm of resistance, our music, the roar of "We will not be moved." We came barefoot, blistered with sore throats and open palms. Some brought bullhorns, some brought granola bars. Some just brought themselves, and that was enough to tilt the weight of silence. Hope marched in worn-out sneakers, its voice cracking but unbroken. Because protest is not just a shout, it's a choir. It's the sound of candles catching. After the march, we did not go home. We unpacked crates and casseroles, stacked diapers and dignity, side by side. We turned church basements into supply lines, porches into pantries, gardens into battlegrounds where tomatoes grew like defiance and hands met in the soil like treaties. This is the quiet part of the revolution. No headlines, no hashtags, just people being people to each other. A different kind of fire, slow burning, steady, the kind that keeps a home warm long after the storm has passed. And somehow we laughed. Not because it wasn't serious, but because it was. Because the world was on fire and someone still brought music, still passed the mic to a child, who screamed their name into the sky like a victory. There was chalk on the pavement next to the protest signs, a hopscotch grid scrawled between chants. We jumped anyway. We sang like we meant it. We hugged like it might be the last time. We loved in public, like it was a protest too. Because joy is not a distraction. It's a declaration. It says we are still here. We are still human. We are still sacred. So we lit candles again and again and again. Not because the dark had vanished, but because it hadn't. Because even now, especially now, the flame matters. Each wick a promise passed, each glow a name remembered, each light a thread in the web we are still weaving. And though the wind still howls, and the ground still shakes, we burn. Not out, but on. So that was the candle in the storm. I wrote it for anyone who's ever tried to hold a small, steady light while the world around them felt like it was being blown sideways. This poem, this podcast, aren't about pretending things are easy. They're about acknowledging the hard, the messy, the miraculous. The ways we keep going, even when we're soaked to the bone and holding onto a flickering flame with both hands. And I know I'm not the only one. That's the point of all this, really, to share the stories and the sparks that keep us human. Whether you're a fellow writer, a creative soul, just trying to make something true, or someone standing in your own storm. I hope you felt seen in that moment, because you are. Before we move into tools and tangible things, I wanted to take a moment for something gentler. A pause, a breath. In the dream space, not every message arrives with a bang. Some arrive quietly, carried by creatures who know how to navigate both storm and stillness. And since you're new here, I want to introduce my companion in the dream space, Thimble. Thimble is one of those messengers. A small raccoon with a satchel full of half-written poems and breadcrumbs, who sometimes finds just the right words when I can't. She left this note on the desk. I think it might be for you. She writes, "Hello, friend. I saw your candle flicker today, but it never went out, not even once. I just thought you should know that. It's okay if the words come slow or sideways or are not at all for a while. Some seeds bloom late, and some poems need more dirt and quiet than others. I'm proud of you for showing up anyway. I'm proud of your ink-stained hands and your stubborn heart and your messy, beautiful stories. Please drink some water and maybe have a berry. With love, Thimble." And now, as Thimble scurries off to refill her pouch, we turn gently back toward the creative tools that keep us grounded when the storm winds rise. This is where I like to do a little writer's check-in. A moment to name what's been working, what tools feel sharp in the hand this week, and what habits might need a little dusting off. Maybe you're in a rhythm with your morning pages, or maybe you've opened the same document 5 times and sighed. That's okay. The important part is you're still showing up. For me this week, I've been thinking a lot about trying to leave the anxiety behind when I turn in my work to my clients. I know I've done my best, and I know that I've been thorough. I also know it's a trauma response, and I can't let it interfere with my work, before, during, or after. It's just a brain weasel that screams a little too loud sometimes. I need to learn to leave it in the past to move forward with confidence. If you're listening and want to share what's been working for you, or what's not, I'd love to hear about it. You can find me on Substack, Ko-Fi, and Blue Sky, and those links will be in my show notes. Before we close today's dispatch, I want to leave you with the spark to carry into your week. It might not light a whole bonfire, but it's enough to warm your fingers and remind you that you're not alone out there. So I just want you to know that the world doesn't need you to write like someone else. It needs you to write like you. Thanks for spending a little time in the dream space with me today. If you liked what you heard, you can find more writing, creative, reflective, and professional on Substack at Nicole Myers FLW, all one word, or support the work over on Ko-fi. If you're walking through something hard right now, I hope you find rest. If you're writing something beautiful, I hope it reaches the hands that need it. So until next time, stay warm, stay weird, and keep the lantern lit.